Hey, beautiful souls. Welcome to my channel, Earth Angel Tarot. And in today's Isis Unveiled reading, we will be taking a look at messages around healing your inner child. Okay, so these are the three cards that wanted to come out for this reading. Go ahead, take a look, and see which one of these images calls out to you the most. And as usual, I will put the image up again for a couple more seconds, and whichever image resonates with you the most, that will be the pile that will have messages in it for you. Okay, so happy picking. Hello to those of you who chose pile number one. So this is your image. All right, and this image keeps popping up in the readings. All right, so I am convinced that there is someone who is attracted to this image, and this is just your spirit team's way of getting your attention, so that you are receiving these messages that are coming through. Okay, so for those of you who always feel drawn to this image, I'm sure that this is your spirit team's way of getting your attention. All right, so the message of this one is the brother in darkness. All right. And it says, whenever negative energy is present, it is a sign that we are ready to move more deeply into our feminine divine power. You shall overcome any negative energy with grace and triumph. Stay in your heart. There is no need to be afraid. All right. And so, what I'm getting with this message, specifically, since this is a heal your inner child reading, I feel like the negative energy that this pal may possess does stem from inner childhood woundings. Okay, inner childhood woundings. All right, it is something that has had an effect on you in the past. All right, and it is currently having an effect on you in the present, and it could be even subconsciously for most of you. But the point of the reading is to bring whatever this is to the forefront, bring it into the light so that it does not have an effect on you in the future. All right. A lot of times we harbor our emotions and we harbor our feelings, okay? And a lot of times, those feelings and emotions are attached to childhood traumas, okay? And for some of you, you will be able to pinpoint what those childhood traumas were. And for others, childhood traumas can be subtle. All right. It doesn't have to be something that was as traumatizing to where it had a significant impact on you, where you're able to pinpoint exactly what it is and know why you behave and act the way you do. Sometimes subtle things happen to us as children, things such as comments, or um, someone's, um, opinions, that they express towards you as children, or their comments that they express towards you as children. We don't know it then as children that those things stick with us, but they do, and they do have an effect on us eventually in our later stages. All right. So it can show up in a form of, negative energy on how you portray yourself to the world. All right. So this is the message that's coming through with this card. We're going to now take a look at what other messages you have in regards to healing your inner child. All right. So you guys have number 17, Ar- Arlene. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, with imagination. All right. And you see how the third eye is also highlighted in this image. All right. And so what I'm automatically getting from this is that some of you were not allowed to be yourself. All right. I'm getting very strict household. You weren't allowed to be creative. You weren't allowed to, well, let's just say you weren't allowed to express your creative side, right? You lived um, somewhere where there were very strict boundaries that were not able to be crossed, okay? Things had to be done by the book, okay? Things had to be done a certain way because that was what was expected of you, all right? And this is what I was just, this goes back to what I just said, that childhood traumas can sometimes be subtle. So it doesn't have to always be physical abuse. All right. It doesn't have to be things that are very traumatic. They can be things that are subtle, such as someone expressing their opinions over you, or downgrading you, or making you feel little, right? And so kind of keeping you in this box where you're not allowed to let your imagination flow, right? You have to do things by the book according to their standards, all right? So if you have this dream of wanting to be something creative, such as an artist or a musician, or something, just that's creative in your eyes, they would have been more so like, no, you have to be a doctor, a lawyer, or whatever is considered successful in theirs and society's eyes. All right. So there has been a block, there has been a creative block that has been flowing through you guys. All right. And that could be part of where your negative energy is stemming from, is because you were never allowed to express yourself. All right, you were never allowed to express yourself in the positive light in which you may have wanted to. So now that shows up if you expressing yourself in different type of negative patterns. Okay, and they don't have to be excessive negative patterns, but just like things that um, don't necessarily allow for you to portray a lighter, more peaceful emotional side to yourself. All right. So now I'm going to actually read what the message from this card says. And like I said, I don't even know, I couldn't even begin on how to pronounce that name. But let's try it again. So the message is, if Alanak showed up for you, it's time to clear your mind, focus your energy, and start training yourself to think more positive thoughts. Think about and speak about the things you want. As your mind, body, and spirit begin to operate with these truths, it will become easier to take aligned action and make your thoughts a reality. All right. So, yes. Um, like the card says, it's time to clear your mind and focus your energy, okay, and start training yourself to think more positive thoughts. And this is what I was just saying, right? Even the Brother in Darkness card points out that there is negative energy present. All right, so this is a time for you to allow your positive energy to flow. How number one, okay, so whereas you may have felt like you were hindered in your childhood from being allowed to be yourself, now is the time to use that imagination. All right, now is the time to get creative. Now is the time to do things as you want to do them. All right, without feeling like you have to own up to someone else's expectations or someone else's opinions. Okay, because right now you being in that way of thinking, it's just like a dark cloud hovering over you, and it's not allowing positive energy to penetrate through. All right, so let's see what else we have. All right. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So this is what I just said, right? So you have past. Okay. In the past, you felt belittled and criticized. Guys, isn't it just what I like the message that came through? So this card is confirmation. And so it says, now you learned that it wasn't your issue, but the low self esteem of the one criticizing you. Yeah. So just think about like how I said, like, if you were someone who wanted to be, let's just say something creative, right? Something outside the box of what was considered normal in your family, then you would have been criticized and you would have been judged for that, right? Because they want you to be what society deems to be successful. They want you to go in that area of your career choice, right? And what this card is confirming is that they wanted this for you because they were not able to do it for themselves. Okay, they wanted you to do this because they were not able to do it for themselves, right? Whatever the situation would have been for them in their childhood that would have prevented them from doing it, it's like it's almost if they wanted to live out what they couldn't do through you, right? And you would have been criticized and judged if you chose anything other than that. All right, making you feel belittled, like, why would you waste your time on something that's not promising? Just not making you feel as if what you wanted out of life wasn't validated. All right. And so that kind of put a wall up for you, pal number one. All right. That wall that has been put up, has been a blockage from you allowing any creative or positive energy to come through. All right. And so now you're being asked to let those go, to release the burdens of what others had expected of you. All right. And to go back to your inner child and live out that imagination. All right. And even if it's something small, pal number one, really just stepping into that inner child energy and doing something now that you were prevented or not allowed to when you were younger, right? Spirit is saying having fun with yourself all over again, right? Finding that spark in life all over again, letting that inner child out in the way of being imaginative, and just letting your child spirit soar, right? So let's see what else we have. All right, so then you have past. You felt ashamed. All right. And it says, now you understand that situations pass, time helps you heal, learn, and grow. Yes. And I love how, you felt ashamed is part of the past, right? If it's not, at least it should be a part of your past, right? There's no reason for you to feel ashamed for what you wanted out of life. Okay. And it's, like I say, as children are, at the ages where they're the most impressionable, right? So that's why and this makes so much sense why my attention was being drawn to more of a subtle type of childhood trauma, right? So nothing that was, harsh or physical in a sense, but something that was more subtle. And because as children are like considered the most impressionable, so things that people say to them, do to them, like it sticks with them, and mostly on a subconscious level, right? And so you being a part in your past, feeling the shame of, you having this big great imaginative idea, right? And for it to be shunned on, it's almost like you felt bad for even, thinking or believing that you could do something like that, or that you wanted to do something like that, right? And I'm just getting coming from a family, not necessarily a family of prestige. I feel like there's a mixture of both. For some of this is going to resonate on two different levels. There's someone who does come from a prestige family, and so it was kind of expected of you to continue down that path. And then from others, you didn't come from a prestige family, but your family wanted to kind of ensure that you could become of prestigeness, if that's even a word, by following their expectations, or what their standards were. All right. But now you have to understand, pal number one, that this is all a thing of the past. All right. And you have to let it be that. All right. You have to let it be that and realize, as this card says, it was never your issue, right? Especially as children, it's never their issue, because they're the most innocent and they're the most pure, right? So they're pretty much, um, children, who are in certain situations are pretty much being ostracized due to their parents or guardians or whoever, due to their own personal problems. Right. And so it's like they kind of become the grunt of it, right? They kind of take on the load of bearing the adult problems as children. All right. But it is time to grow, pal number one, and it is time to spread your wings and for you to do those things that you weren't able to as a child, and whatever that may be. Okay, spirit wants you to step into more of a lighter spirit about yourself, a more of a yes, they're saying lighter spirit, like, not to feel like you're carrying the burden or the weight of the world on your shoulders. All right, is what they're saying. All right, and then you guys have intimidation. All right, and this is like this showing up. It's like perfect because it's like almost like you guys may have been like bullied into doing what others wanted you to do and not doing what you wanted to do, right? With this intimidation showing up, right? This is just like a form of bullying, or let's just say, for instance, like if you didn't do what your parents wanted you to do, right? If you didn't um, do what was asked of you in regards to your life choices, then certain privileges that you had would be revoked. So that was a way of them of intimidating you into following their path or walking in their shoes, so to say, right? By just saying, hey, if you don't do ABC, then you don't get XYZ, right? And so this is like part of the negative energy that you have been harboring, right? And now this is that makes sense why spirit wants you to step into a more lighter childhood like energy, right? And let go of the past when it comes to that, right? Realizing that you are now the one in charge. Okay, that's what they're saying. You are now the one in charge and you are free to do as you will and as you like. Okay. And that was just a part of yourself that you had to realize about yourself. All right. And part of you realizing that it's going to be by relinquishing this energy here. Okay. Relinquishing whatever childhood energy this is here and just realizing that it was never you, it was them. That's a very important key factor they want you to remember or to acknowledge. Pile number one, it was never you, it was them. Okay. All right. Oh my gosh, look at this. And we have control issues. And it says fear of losing power or false security leads to vulnerability. Release, trust, empowerment. Yes, like PAL number one. So what I'm getting from this is that, okay, so part of your negative energy, I feel like, is that you yourself might have control issues. And I was feeling a little like I was getting that a little bit with intimidation. You yourself, this could be you know, like it kind of carried over, right? It carried over because you had to deal with control issues growing up, right? You had to deal with, whoever this is in the situation for you, wanting to control your life, right? Wanting to control the choices you made, the decisions you made, your actions, whatever, just wanted to control it all, right? So that you can kind of like fulfill their dreams, so to say. They would have never told you that, but essentially that's what it would have been, right? And so now a part of yourself, you may notice a part of yourself, you have control issues. All right. You have control issues in the sense where you want to be in control so much now because you never had the chance or the option to do it back then. Right. So just be mindful of that. Okay. What you didn't like about the person or the whoever that this situation is, whatever you didn't like about the control factor that came from that, be mindful to make sure that that's not showing up in your own life and you are doing it to someone else. All right. They want you to be mindful of that because sometimes we pick up our parents, our guardians, we pick up their patterns and their behaviors because that's what we're mostly exposed to growing up, right? So I would say even some part of it is consciously picked up and a lot of it is subconsciously picked up because it becomes imprinted in us, right? So they do want you to be mindful of any control issues that you might have. When you feel like you are being in a place where that is happening, just remind yourself that you don't want to be that person. Is what they're saying. Remind yourself that you don't want to be that person who you despise as a child. You don't want to become that person. All right. So we have on here release, trust, and empowerment. All right. So with the release, I'm getting, of course, to release that past energy. And with the empowerment, I'm getting for you to be the complete opposite. So if you have someone and if you have children, be that person, be the opposite of what you experienced growing up. Be the person who's going to empower that child to use their imagination. Okay, be the person who's going to empower them to let them freely choose what it is that they want out of life, or what it is that they want to do in life. All right. Don't They're saying don't become that person, right? And so this is what they want you to be mindful of. All right. And then you guys have feathered omens. All right. And it says, even the sweetest bird harbors fierce intentions. All right. And it says self deceit, illusion, secret. All right. So this is what I was saying. Like, it's time to spread your wings. All right, it's time to spread your wings. And I'm also getting with this feather omen. Some of you will see feathers, and that is going to be a clear sign for you that there was messages in this reading for you. All right, so, and I'm even picking up today, you might see a feather. All right, and that is going to be an omen for you that this reading was intended for you. It was meant for you. All right. So, and I'm with the sweetest, and what it's saying, the sweetest bird harbors fierce intentions. That just brings me to, like, how I was saying how children are the most sweetest and the most purest and the most innocent, right? So at some point you start off sweet and innocent, but then there's this part of you that needs to now break free from that wounded part of your childhood, and step into your fierceness, right? Step into your power, spread your wings. All right, allow that inner child to do now what it was not able to do then. All right, don't live in the illusion that was created around you. Okay, that's what they're saying. Don't live in the illusion that was created around you. All right. Okay, and then you have, don't waste your, what does it say? Don't waste your rarity trying to convince anyone of it. Just keep being rare until someone realizes it and won't treat you like anything less than what you are, which is rare. Yes, and this is, I'm getting with this, pile number one, embrace your uniqueness. Okay, you might have been made to feel silly as a child for, your uniqueness, and for, your different type of different things that you may have been drawn to or attracted to, or things that excited you. You may have been made to feel weird as a child, right? They may have shunned you for having those thoughts or those feelings or opinions about certain things. And now as an adult, spirit wants you to embrace your uniqueness. Okay, embrace the fact that you are rare. All right. And it's okay to let your imagination roam free. All right. Third eye opening. All right. This is a third eye opening moment for you to finally see a clear vision of yourself that others tried to cover up for so long. Pile number one. All right. And then you have, if you rearrange the letters in depression, you get I pressed on. Okay? Your current situation is not your final destination. Yes, you pressed on and you persevered. Pile number one. That is the story of your life. You pressed on and you persevered. Okay, and it's really, I feel like once you step and you heal the inner child, pile number one, your most authentic self is going to show up for you. All right, you're going to feel free because now you are doing what you want to do. All right, you're doing what you want to do. You're illuminating what is so special about you. You're waking up to that realization. All right. And so now let's see what the tarot has. So thank you, beautiful, beloved Mother Goddess Isis. Can you please provide pile number one with some tarot messages around their inner child healing. Yes, you guys definitely, you went through control issues. Um, you have, okay, look at this. We have the Six of Swords, right? Six of Swords is a card of healing. All right, leaving the things in the past and moving forward. All right, but one thing about the Six of Swords energy is that it's a gradual healing energy, right? So it's not like poof, be gone. Like, you wake up and you feel completely refreshed the next day. This is a process. All right, so this is you learning to let go of the past so that you can move forward. All right, and Seven of Pentacles, see where you need to put in the work. All right, because I feel like with this Seven of Pentacles showing up, it's like, okay, you see what you have become thus far. All right, you see where this road has left you thus far, and now it's time to see where to next. All right, where to next? Pal number one, and I like the progression, right? The 6 to the 7. All right, a point of progression. Where to next? All right, so it's like you saying, now that I have, you know, chosen to, and I'm getting chosen to forgive not yourself, pal number one, but forgive those who has harmed you, and not in a physical way, but those who have I'm getting shattered the ego at such an early age. You have to forgive them and move on. All right, because that's going to be part of what releases that burden, is when you forgive them and you move on, pal number one. All right. So what else do we have for pal number one in regards to healing their inner child? Yes, look out. I'm getting look out for feathers. Pal number one, and that card just literally flew out the deck. All right, and you have the High Priestess. Yes, tune it inwards, guys. All right, letting the divine show you the rest of the way. All right, letting them heal you. All right, letting them heal you. And I love like how this follows the Seven of Pentacles, right? Because it's like he's sitting here pondering on what to do next, like I was just saying, what's next. And it's like this high priestess shows up right in front saying, let me show you the way, right? Let me show you the way. And so, guys, this is the nudge for you to be open to spirit. Be open to your spirit team guiding you and showing you the way, showing you how to fully recover, showing you how to fully heal that inner child. All right, showing you how to fully heal that inner child. All right, and so that you can step into your power. Look at this, the Ace of Wands. So you can step into your power and let your true authentic self show. Living a life with the Ace of Wands is like living a life with passion, right? Now being able to step into that true passion of whatever it is about yourself that you have been like hiding from, okay, that you have tucked away, that you have like, swept under the rug. Now it's like stepping into your true authentic self, all right, and spirit allowing you to do so, all right. And it all comes after healing. All right, it all comes after healing, pal number one. All right. So lastly, I have an angelic activation message for you, and that is going to be to help you to resonate with the messages that have come through with this card, and to also give you light transmission activation. All right, and so then this is the image that you all have. All right, and this is Angel Shamiel, and it says, "Let love in." Okay, and the message is, you are beloved. You are cherished more than you'll ever know. It's time to begin seeing yourself through the eyes of God. Choose to move beyond self-criticism and judgment. Be open to seeing yourself in a more loving way. When you are willing to see yourself lovingly, you open the doors of your heart, and all forms of love enter it. All right. And the activation is I am willing to see the love I have within. Yes. Time to break free from criticizing yourself because you were so used to others doing it growing up. Pal number one. All right. So your activation is to let love in. And it says, I am willing to see the love I have within. All right, pal number one, that is the message that has come through for you. Really hope you enjoyed. If so, please be sure to hit the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. And until next time, my lovelies, take care and bye bye. Hello to those of you who chose pal number two. So, this is your image. All right, and the message is divine sisterhood. All right, and it says, letting the divine feminine nourish you now into new relationships, collaborations, community, and friendships is very wise. There are many souls with whom you have spiritual contracts decided upon before you were born who wish to help you and whom you can help too as you grow together in peace and light and wisdom. All right. So, what I'm getting from this message here, pal number two, is that some of you, I'm getting, um, there are some strong mother daughter type of relationships. Um, and with this being a heal your inner child reading, some of these relationships are meant to be mended. So if they're not strong mother daughter relationships now, um, it stems from something in the childhood. All right, it stems from something in the childhood, or even let's just say father. I'm sorry, son and mother, some type of mother figure. All right, so it doesn't have to necessarily be only daughter mother. It can also be son and mother as well. So I'm getting that there is some mending that needs to be done around those type of relationships, and it has to do with something stemming from childhood. All right, something hasn't been completely resolved. And childhood doesn't have to be the very early ages of childhood. I'm also getting adolescent years as well. All right, something hasn't been completely resolved, okay, around some type of maternal relationship. All right, and as the card says, you both, okay, you both are meant to heal from each other. All right, you both are meant to help each other heal in this lifetime. There has been a contract, a soul contract that has been made within these relationships. Okay. And however that dynamic fits for you. Like I say, it could be son and mother or daughter and mother, but the main figure here is maternal. All right. So it's something to do with maternal relationships. All right. So that's the message that's coming through with that card. Let's go ahead and see what other messages you guys have. All right. And you guys have number 36, Ray, okay, with protection. All right. And so, what I just got with that is that some of you did not feel protected as a child. All right. Some of you did not feel as if you were protected enough, and it could be from this maternal figure. You don't feel as if you were protected enough as a child, and that could be why things may have, different things could have happened in the past, and they were never resolved. Okay, so I'm getting kind of like swept under the rug. All right. So some issues that were from the past were kind of like swept under the rug or brushed off. So they were never fully resolved. They were never fully acknowledged. Okay. You may have felt I'm getting let down in a sense. All right. You may have felt let down in a sense. Um, in your childhood age, and with this particular reading I'm getting more adolescent, right? This adolescent is going to be a very significant time frame for you. Okay, not to say that you weren't affected at an even earlier age, but I'm feeling like the most impressionable times for you were during the adolescent years when it comes to this maternal figure. All right, you don't feel like you were provided protection in some sense, in some area of your life where you feel like they should have been the step up person or the go to person. They were not for you. Okay. And it didn't completely hinder your relationship or ruin your relationship. But like I say, it was kind of whatever that was swept under the rug. So as to say, they didn't know that that you felt this way. And they may not even know to this day that you feel this way. All right. And so it's been swept under the rug, but you have been harboring these feelings towards whatever that could have been for you. And so that's part of the inner child of you that needs to be healed. All right. You need to bring those things up to the surface so that you can love each other more wholeheartedly. All right. Because, like I said, I don't pick up like bad maternal relationships. I just feel like there's a missing link somewhere. Okay. But now I'm going to actually read from the card, from the book for the card, and let's see what Riley says. And I am sure that I am like butchering these names. If you came from Pal, if you've seen Pal number one, like I had no idea how to pronounce that name. And this is the same. All right, so let's see what this card says. It says, when Rai shows up, your inner child is in need of deep inner strength, grounding, and knowing that he, she, they are safe and protected. Rai brings a feeling of security as you feel his energy. You can stand a little taller knowing you are being watched. Take some time to tune into your inner child and notice how safe he, she feels. Do you feel like you constantly have to be on guard? Like there's always a threat or something about to go wrong? Maybe your inner child had to step into the role of protector and guardian before she, he, they were ready. How can you help your inner self feel safe and drop the guards? Yes, like I was saying too, you may have not felt protected as a child, and so you had to kind of like fill in the role, right? You kind of had to like I'm getting teach yourself, or uh, take yourself through certain experiences for you to grow, right? Because you felt like there was a lack of that in your inner circle. All right. And so that left you feeling as if there was you like they weren't being the stand-up person as a parental figure should, right? You kind of felt like you had to show yourself the ropes, whereas in your child mind, you felt like it should have been the parent doing that, and you feel like you didn't get that from them. All right. And so now you're being called to heal that part of your inner child, right? And realize that you are protected. All right, you are safe, and you don't have to have that guard up, because you may feel like because of that experience, because of that childhood experience, you might feel that way now towards other people in your life, right? Because if you didn't get that protection you feel like you should have received from a paternal figure, a parental figure, why should you expect to receive that from anyone else, right? If the person who you felt should have been the one who protected you the most was not able to do that, why should you expect that from anyone else? So there's this guard up around maybe you and other relationships due to this. All right. And so you guys have passed. You weren't given enough attention. And then now is you understand that outside approval and validation is temporary and not long lasting, right? And this kind of brings me back to what I just said. Like, you may have had to do for yourself, right? This is where the lack of protection comes in at. Like, you maybe was a child who, let's just say your parents, whether it was, a two-parent household or a single family, single parent household, maybe they were like at work all the time, or overworkers, or not, or maybe just doing their own thing all the time, right? So you felt that there, not only where there's a lack of protection there, right, where you can feel safe and stable, but you also weren't getting the attention that you needed. All right. And so that may have kind of put you in this mindset of not only having to do for self in a positive way, but more so like in this aggressive way, right? Because it's like, because of the experience, it's like you refuse to rely on anyone else, right? You refuse. So that, I feel like, okay, so what I'm getting now is, with the now you understand that outside approval and validation is temporary and not long lasting, there's kind of like this negative connotation to that for you now, right? So there's more like of, you have more of like a aggressive, assertive way, type of way of doing things, and it's because you kind of have this mindset of not expecting or relying on others to do for you because of past disappointments of, that not being the case for you. And so the spirit wants you to set more healthy boundaries around that. All right. They want you to set more healthy boundaries around doing for self. All right, and making yourself feel safe and making yourself feel stable, right? You don't have to go about it, they're saying, in such an assertive type of way, because essentially you are protected. You have divine protection. All right. And so the moment you realize that about yourself, and you can kind of like address that issue, okay, and I'm getting address the issue with the other. All right, that when you're able to address that issue, you release that part of your inner child that has been wounded for so long. All right. And you guys have, in the past, you felt like you weren't enough, and it says now you understand that you are more than enough. You are truly gifted and unique. Yes, and this is you guys opening up to yourself, right? This is you. So this is a little bit different energy from pal number one, because I feel like in pal number one, if you came from that pal, it was like they kind of had to put themselves in that energy of discovering that, um they weren't the sole cause of the problem, right? And I feel like in this pal, the energy is you guys have already came to that realization. All right. I feel like you guys have came to that realization of self. All right, of who you are as a person, who you are, the greatness of you, right? I feel like you guys have already kind of picked up that energy about yourselves. All right. You've already kind of like realized that regardless of what was going on back then, that was their problem. I feel like that's the realization you came to, that they maybe was going through their own thing, but that should not have shaped and defined who you are. So you're in a phase of discovering yourself, is what I'm getting. All right. Because in the past, you felt like you weren't enough. And I feel like this ties perfectly with this one here, where it says you weren't given enough attention. All right. So there may have been like a lack of self worth there. Okay. Then, and, maybe even now. All right. But I feel like you guys are moving out of that energy where there's a lack of self worth. All right. And you're realizing that you are able to protect yourself, but spirit wants you to do it, they want you to make sure that there are healthy boundaries around your mindset when it comes to that. All right. Not feeling like they don't want you to be overly assertive with it, to where you're just like, those people who are like, I don't need nobody for nothing, and they just like stand stand strong to their word and their ground, right? They want you to be more in a way where you realize that you are more than capable of doing for yourself, but coming from a loving place, right? All right. And you guys have sadness. All right. And I just felt like this energy, like, I feel like you guys were really harboring this for a long time. But like I said, I do feel like you are breaking out of this energy. All right. You not feeling protected, you not getting the attention, you not feeling like you were enough, um, caused a lot of sadness within you. All right, it caused a lot of sadness in you, and I feel like you harbored it, right? You weren't expressive with what was going on. It's like you knew what was going on and you knew why you were feeling the way you were feeling, but you weren't being expressive with it. And that's why I was just saying, like, spirit wants you to be to communicate this with the other. All right. And even if you look in this card, like how she has her head buried in her knee, right? Not wanting to, look up and acknowledge it, but just internalizing it. So this is what you all did for a long time. Pile number two, you internalized that sadness. You internalized how you felt growing up and there being this lack of protection around you and you feeling cared for and you feel it wanted and you getting all of the attention, and once again I'm getting from a maternal figure. All right, you harbor those feelings of lacking, of the sadness that came from the lack of that. All right, but I do feel like you guys are bursting out of this energy. Okay. I feel like you guys have forgiven yourself for feeling this way, pal number two. But now Spirit has said that it's time to forgive the other. And they keep acknowledging them as the other. So you know how whoever the other is for you. All right. I feel like you've come to a place within yourself of peace, and I don't feel like you carry a heavy burden over yourself in regards to who you are, but there is a burden that needs to be released on how you view the other. All right. And you guys have healed through art, and it says express your shadows in art and let healing unfold, creativity and expression. Yes, so that's going to be a way for you to heal. Pal number two, that is going to be a way for you to heal. Some of you have a creative side to yourself, or some of you may even like doing creative hobbies. All right, and what I'm getting now is for you to get the other. I'm going to start saying quote unquote, get the other involved with this. All right, so I'm getting you two coming together, um, and just doing things that's healing for the heart and healing for the soul for the both of you. All right, so this is maybe you having conversations over doing like some creative project. Invite this person to do something creative with you and let the door of communication open from there, right? So it could start as small talk or talk in passing, as you two come together to do whatever this creative thing could be for you all. Just opening up the door for communication, all right, around this situation. Okay, and then you guys have self reflection, and it says looking inward helps you see what to improve to make better choices, awareness, and improvement. Yes, and this is why I say, like, I feel like you guys have forgiven yourself around this situation. I do feel like you all are aware that you are not, you know, the bad person in the situation, even though you may have felt like it as a child or in adolescent ages. You may have felt like, well, why won't this person give me the attention, or why does this person not, spend enough time with me, or why doesn't this person do this, that, or the other? So you may have, as a child, felt like it was your fault, but through self-reflection you were able to realize, no, it was not you. Okay, like I say, this is The complete opposite energy of pile number one. So you guys have stepped into more of a lighter energy already. All right. And you've come to realize that those things were not your fault. All right. And that it was possibly that the other, quote unquote, was going through their own thing, and you're starting to have that realization. Okay. And you're starting to realize that maybe they had their own issues and their own problems going on back then, and this is why they couldn't be there for you 100%. But it's like you've forgiven yourself, and now it's time for you to kind of, not kind of, I think if you forgive someone, you should fully forgive them, right? But it's time for you to do that, right? And you're becoming more aware of the things that you need to continue to change about yourself in order to improve yourself, right? And now it's time for the two to come together. All right. For like the divine sisterhood card says, like, there's a soul contract between you and this person. And in this lifetime, you both are meant to help each other heal. All right. Oh my gosh. Look at this. So this card says, forgive yourself for the relationships and friendships that you settled for when you weren't in your power. Yes. And this is just what I would say. I'm like, I feel like you guys have forgiven yourself, right? And with it saying where you weren't in power, of course, that would really stem from you being a child, right? As a child, you lack power, especially when it comes to parental figures or authoritative figures, right? We lack power as children when in those areas, right? And so I do feel like you have forgiven yourself, okay, because of those situations. So it's very fitting for that card to come out right now. But we have to focus on the other person, the other person who needs to be forgiven, right? There's two people on this card. All right. So we have to focus on the other person who needs to be healed. I mean, forgiven, because pile number two, that is also part of your healing and their healing as well. All right. That's what's going to help both of you heal. All right. And to lighten your energy even more, because I feel like you have come into a lighter place, a lighter space with your energy, but it can get even lighter. Okay. And when it gets even lighter, pile number one, I'm sorry, pile number two, you open up the door for even more manifestations. All right. And then you have your energy asks others to rise up. And not everyone is willing to go where they would grow. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Pile number two. So you are meant to help them to rise up, right? So it's like you've cleared your energetic space and your energetic field, doing that self reflection, right? And realizing that, realizing who you are and your worth, right? And looking at this, taking that situation, that childhood situation, with a grain of salt, and realizing that it has to be, you have to be released from that energy in order to move forward and in order to heal. And so now that you're doing that for yourself, pile number two, your energy is asking others to rise up. Okay. And with this saying that, and not everyone is willing to go where they would grow, that just says that it's a lot more difficult for them to get into that energetic healing space than it is for you. All right. It's a lot more difficult. So they definitely need your assistance. All right. You've come to a place of self awareness. You've come to a place of self reflection where you're able to look inward. And it may not be as easy for this other person to do that, to look inward. Right. And so you are there, or you're going to be meant to help them to do that, to look inward. Okay. So now let's see what tarot messages we have for you in regards to this. So thank you, beautiful, beloved Mother Goddess Isis. Can you please provide clarifying tarot messages for pile number two in regards to healing their inner child? Yes, and this is why too I was getting like you can start small. All right, you can start small with this other person. All right, just getting like small conversation or small talk over doing something creative, right? Or just having like a fun day out or doing like some type of project together and then letting these conversations kind of emerge on their own. All right. You have the emperor. All right. And the emperor is all about taking charge of his domain. And I feel like this is just what you guys are doing, pal number two. All right. That self-reflection that you guys have went through and maybe currently going through is allowing you to step into your emperor power, and you guys have the world. All right. Ending that, like, I feel like with the world coming up, this is like you ending that chapter of your life for good, right? That inner childhood, this particular inner childhood energy for good, right? Letting it come to a close. Pile number two. So that is beautiful showing up, because it's like you guys are going to relinquish that energy back into the universe, right? Letting it come to an end. But with the world being here, that's in a positive way. All right. It coming to an end in a very positive manner, meaning that you have done what you needed to do to clear the air. All right. And then you guys have the Four of Wands, stability. All right. And I love how there are children here on this Four of Wands, right? So this is like inner peace. I feel like this is you guys inner, like soaking up inner peace. Like I'm getting so like giddy with this card now. Like I feel like so like happy, and I feel like this is the new version of your inner child meeting the old version of your inner child and them coming together as one, right after the world, right? Bringing peace and bringing closure to that old chapter of the inner childhood that needed to be healed. All right. So now being in more of a stable emotional place, pal number two. So that is just absolutely beautiful. Look at that. So this is like, and this is like what I was saying. Like, I feel like you guys are there, right? I feel like you guys are definitely in that energetic space of allowing yourself freedom. Look at this. And the Ten of Swords popped out. Let me just adjust this. But look at this. Yes, freedom, right? Ten of Swords. Painful endings. All right. Turning your back on those painful endings. All right. And I feel like, that is like you saying goodbye to the old wounded inner child. All right, you saying goodbye to the old wounded inner child, and now allowing for your more positive inner child um, to be reflective of who you are, right? So coming into that space and into that energy, pile number two. But remember, you are meant to help others rise up. All right, and there is a particular person, the other, quote unquote, who you are meant to help rise up. Okay. Because they can't do it on their own, is what spirit is saying. So they need your point of view and your point of reflection to help them along the way. All right. And so now I have an angelic activation message for you all, and that is going to be to help you to resonate with the messages that has come through from this reading, as well as to give you your own light channel activation so that you are listening to and you are hearing spirit throughout the day. Okay. In regards to this inner child healing that needs to take place, or just in general with whatever you may need help or assistance with. Okay. And so then this is the image that you all have. Oh, let me take it up. All right. And the message is powers. All right. And it says, be kind and compassionate. And the message is, in order for peace to be restored in the outer world, you must first be able to find it within yourself. Your current situation requires you to step into the energy of loving kindness. Realize that the other person is also you. It's quote unquote other person. It even showed up in this card. Having consideration for others will open your heart up so that you can see the world through more loving eyes. All right. And the activation is, I choose to see through the eyes of kindness. Yes. And pile number two, this is what I'm saying, like, or what I was saying, like, you've healed or you've forgiven yourself. And now it's time for you to realize that, you know, part of the reason whoever this person was, you know, who was not able to protect you in the way that you felt you needed to be protected, it is because they could have been going through their own battles that you were not aware of. All right. And so this is why Spirit wants you to step into the energy of being loving and being kind, and just realizing or looking at their life through a different lens. All right. Okay. So that is all I have for you, my beautiful pal number two. Really hope you enjoy. If so, please be sure to hit the like button, leave a comment, as well as to subscribe to the channel. And until next time, my lovelies, take care and bye bye. Hello to those of you who chose pal number three. So this is your image. All right. And the message is scales of balance. All right. And it says balancing give and take, directing and flowing. Play and solitude are ways to heal the relationship between the inner masculine and feminine energies. Connection with the body is the most powerful form of healing for the feminine energy, as it holds the secrets to divine feminine wisdom. So dance, sing, play. All right. Scales of balance. All right. So pile number three, I am picking up um, the energy that you guys are needing to find balance in your life. All right. In some shape, form, or fashion. All right. And with it being a heal your inner child reading, this could stem from activities that took place in your childhood, okay, where they're now in your adulthood. It's hard for you to find a balance, okay. And it's interesting because when I was actually pulling the cards, pre-pulling the cards for this particular pal, it was kind of like the energy was kind of first of all, there was always like two cards that wanted to come out instead of one. Like, so it was just like that kind of makes sense with the duality and the feminine and the masculine. It was almost like, you know, not knowing, okay, um, like which one over the other, right? And so I feel like that could have been a sign that sometimes you guys may be a little bit all over the place, right? So that was honestly the energy that I was picking up. But either way, there is some balance that needs to take place, okay, in your current life, okay, in your present situation, okay. And we're going to take a look and see what part of your inner child that it stems from. All right. And so that's the message that's come through with that card. But let's see what other messages you guys have. Oh my gosh, look at this, guys. You have number 21, Cadence with Sing. And this is literally what this card says right here. So dance, sing, and play. All right, so you guys are definitely living out of a more masculine type energy, okay? And you're being called to tap into a more feminine aspect of that energy, all right? And so with Cadence showing up, number 21 Sing, it could be that you guys were not allowed a lot of playtime. All right, you guys were not allowed a lot of play time. You guys were not allowed to really express yourself as a child, right? You probably grew up in a household where everything was taken so serious, right? There wasn't that room for joy, for laughter, for happiness, right? And so that kind of forced you, in a way, so to say, to be more of that kind of a person, right? More of portraying this masculine side of self where it's hard for you to let your emotions show, right? It's hard for you to like just feel vulnerable or have a good time or you know laugh, right? It's like someone who's just, I'm getting like someone who's just like so serious, right? And this could be with this being an inner childhood reading. This could be because you were in the household you grew up in, you were, so to say, prohibited from being expressive in that type of way, right? In your household, there could have been no room for laughter. It's like, why laugh when there's work to be done? Why laugh when you could be cleaning? Why laugh when you can be doing chores? Like someone took something like so serious, right? And you weren't allowed to be that fun, joy loving kid that you may have wanted to be. And it kind of caused you to grow into an adult version of what you grew up around, right? But let's take a look at what Cadence says from the book. So let's see what else Cadence have to say. All right. And some of you, I'm getting, some of you are probably even singers, right? Some of you may have had the dream of being a singer, right? In things kind of, situations and circumstances kind of prevented that from happening, whatever the case may be. All right. But I'm getting to that it was definitely a dream that someone has had. And it's not going to resonate with everyone, but for someone, it was a dream that was had about possibly one day being a singer. Okay. So it says, when Cadence appears in a reading, your inner child is ready to let their song be heard. Kids love to make noise and express themselves without care. It's only when shamed or punished for the loud and uninhibited expression that they begin to lose their voice. Yes, guys, this is exactly what I just said. Like, you may have been um, in that household, in that there's those households where the parents or the guardians or whoever literally just take everything so serious, right? And if you breathe too loud, it's a problem, right? If you blink too loud, it's a problem, right? And so, you guys, that was stripped away from you. Like, that's part of your childhood that was stripped away from you. Is you just having that freedom. I'm getting freedom of laughter. Like, I feel like some of you even got punished for like laughing too loud or having too much fun, right? And so it also says your inner child can't hold it in any longer. It's time to let yourself be heard. When Cadence appears for you, it's time to express what you've been holding back. Oftentimes, as we get older, we filter ourselves to fit in or keep things calm and tidy, right? Goes back to the household you may have grew up in. And it says we think we are helping or making things easier, but what we are really doing is telling our inner children other people's comfort is more important than your expression. Wow, that's deep. Others people's comfort is more important than your expression. It's time to stop the cycle and let your voice be heard. Yes, pile number 3. It is time to live out loud. All right. But you've been scarred from this. Okay, clearly you've been scarred from this. You've been scarred from not allowing your inner child to be a child in a time when it was most appropriate to be a child, right? During your early years. Okay, and so now it's time for you to just not give a care at all. All right, pal number 3, to not give a care at all anymore about anyone's opinion about you having fun, you being you, you doing you, right? It is time to tuck that part of your inner child, and we're not even going to tuck it away. We are just going to dismiss it completely, right? So that you can find the balance of happiness, all right? Because you grew up in this place or in a space where everything was always taken so serious, right? And it kind of hardened the soul. It hardened the heart and it hardened the soul, right? And so Spirit is saying it's now for you to take a step into the light. All right. Release that burden of the inner child who felt like it was a shame to be able to have fun. It's a bad thing to be able to have fun. All right. They want you to release that part of yourself that was attached to you at such an early age. All right. And time to find the balance. Okay. Find the balance in life again, because right now you are exerting more of a masculine energy and they want you to step into more of a feminine one. All right. Okay. And then you have past. You felt vulnerable and alone. And it says, now you understand your emotions, the power in your thoughts, and the self love needed to not feel alone, right? So maybe you felt like, in being in this environment, right? Like you had to feel alone, because if you can, let's just say, look out the window and you see all the other kids out having fun, having a good time, and just enjoying childhood, right? And but from the household that you came from, that was prohibited, right? So of course you would feel alone. Of course you would feel um like there's something missing, especially as a child, right? And but now you're realizing, or you're being called to step into the energy of understanding the power in yourself and self-love, and that you are the creator, right? You are the creator. So it's no longer okay for you to feel ashamed for wanting to do you, for wanting to be happy, for wanting to laugh, right? For wanting to enjoy and express life. All right. And then you guys have passed with you were emotionally hurt, and now you understand it wasn't your issue or problem at the time. Yes, and this is um, similar to a message that Pal One got. You guys, you have to get into this place of realizing, and I think this kind of has been the general theme for this reading, for all pals, is that, especially this is a inner childhood reading, get into a place of realizing that the adults that raised you had their own thing going on. They had their own traumas that they didn't talk about. They had their own dramas that you probably didn't see and they didn't talk about. All right. But unfortunately, you just became, the innocent bystander to those problems, right? And unfortunately, you becoming an innocent bystander to those and to their problems affected your overall life and your overall way of being, even into adulthood. All right. And so this is what you have to realize about yourself, that it wasn't your problem, it wasn't your issue. Okay, pal number three, it was their issue. Similar message to pal number one. It was not your problem, it was not your issue. Sure, you became the byproduct of it, right? Based on who you have shaped into and become into adulthood. Um, but they want you to realize that it was not your problem. All right. And the moment you can relinquish the thought that it was, or the feelings that it was, the moment you can begin to sing again, the moment you can be able to find the light in the darkness. All right. The moment you can be able to step into a authentic version of yourself, because I'm getting your inner child was never allowed to come out and play. And now is the time for you to allow them to do so. All right. Your inner child was never allowed to come out and play, and now is the time for you to allow them to do so. Pile number three. All right. So, all about finding that balance. All right. You've lived out majority of your life in masculine energy. All right. And when I say masculine, I don't mean like female, male, gender type. I just mean like in this assertive, um, I don't even want to say dominant, but in this energy that's just kind of just like no room for fun, right? No room for playfulness. Ever just taking everything so serious. And now they want you to release that energy, pile number 3. All right. They want you to sing again. And for those of you who are singers, great. It may be the time for you to actually now put yourself out there. And for those of you who are not singers, sing anyway. Is what they're saying. Sing anyway, right? It's time to sing a new tune. All right. And you guys have family patterns. All right. And yeah, so what I'm getting with this is pile number 3, you're being asked to not fall into those same family patterns. All right. You're being asked not to fall into those same family patterns. All right. And you may, like you can probably, you're experiencing it now. All right. You know how a lot of times people say, oh, when I grow up, I don't want to be nothing like, my mother or nothing like my father, right? Just because they didn't view them as the ideal role model, right? But you may see a little bit of, not maybe even more than a little bit of that in yourself right now, right? You've become this hardened person, right? Who takes everything so serious with no room for joy, no room for fun, right? Maybe you're a workaholic, you know. So you're seeing a version of whatever parental figure in your life, you're seeing that version of what you didn't like, right, about them. You're seeing that in yourself. And so, Spirit is saying that it's time for you to break those family patterns, right? It's time for you to be the person to break those family patterns and step out of that energy. Okay. Acknowledge the things about the past and about them that has hurt you and kept you trapped in a box, but also relinquishing them and letting them go. Okay. Realizing that it's okay to have fun. It's okay to laugh. It's okay to enjoy downtime as much as you do work time. All right. Breaking those family patterns of just feeling like taking life, they're saying taking life so and too seriously. All right. So you're meant to be, and this is what the family pattern is showing up. This also stems from, like I was saying, a lot of times as children, you don't know the problems that adults go through. You don't know the challenges they face, the dramas they're into, right? Because most of the time they try to conceal that from children, right? And so with the family patterns, this is just like they were repeating a cycle of what they were seeing or what they had seen growing up, okay, or what was forced upon them growing up. Growing up in strict households or, where everything was all work and no play. And so this is it's a cycle. Okay, it's what Spirit is saying within this family unit. It has been a cycle. It has been a family pattern. All right. And so you're going to be the one who is meant to break this family pattern. Think outside the box, step outside the box, they want you to begin to enjoy life more. All right. And not to take it so seriously. All right. And you guys have a wounded healer. All right. And it says the wound is the place where light enters you. Empathy, healing, and purpose. Yeah. So this is where right now I feel like your wound is your inner child. Okay, because there was a lack of it. There was a lack of you being able to have a childhood per se, right? But this is, you let the light in, power number 3, by letting that inner child out. Okay, it says the wound is the place where light enters you. So you let the light in, by letting that inner child out. Okay, go do something spontaneous. Go do something fun. Sing. Go to the karaoke bar or something like that. Just like you just really have to make time. They're saying, power number 3, you have to make time for yourself. All right, and not feel guilty for doing it. You as a child, you were made to feel guilty for having fun, for laughing, for wanting to indulge in anything that was lighthearted. You were made to feel guilty for that as a child, and Spirit is saying it's time for you to stop feeling guilty for that as an adult. All right. Allow yourself to heal by, number one, realizing that it wasn't your issue or problem that created this, but it is your issue or problem to fix it, is what they're saying. All right. And then you guys have ride the storm. All right. And it says, let chaos and turbulence cleanse your spirit. Purge, purify, refine. Yes, get out there. Get out there, power number 3. Go have some fun. Go purge. Go just live it up. Right? Do something spontaneous. Do something outside the box. Do something that the inner child would have wanted to do when they were a child, but were not able to. All right. This is how you ride the storm. It's like you putting yourself out there and saying, hey, I wasn't able to do that back then, but I'm going to do it now. I always wanted to go to Disney World back then, wasn't able to. Parents wouldn't allow it. Funds couldn't afford it, whatever, but I'm going to do it now. Whatever it is that you feel like you lacked, okay? Whatever it is that kept you trapped in the box, it's time to break free from that. Pal number 3. All right. And then you've been pulling yourself out of dark places since you were a child. Look at this. You were built for anything. Look at how fitting this is. You've been pulling yourself out of dark places since you were a child. So you guys, and this just brings me back to, like, I was getting the image of, like, a child just staring out the window, right? Watching other kids play, but not having that privilege to do that. And that causing you to be in such a vulnerable and a space and feeling so alone, right? So you being pulled into this dark place early in life, right? Where most people start to experience it or feel it in later years or later ages. Usually by adolescent years, right? You start to feel those dark places early because you realize all of the restrictions that were around you at such an early age. All right. So it's saying that you've been there, done that. All right. You've been there, done that, and you're built for the fight. So continue to pull yourself forward, continue to ride the storm, continue to break, or not continue, because I don't feel like you've got there yet, but start to break family patterns. All right. Wounded healer, let the light in, let the inner child out so the light can come in. Pal number 3. All right. And then you guys have, if a butterfly is struggling to get out of the cocoon and someone cuts it to help out, the butterfly dies. You have to let the butterfly struggle because the struggle forces blood into the wings so they can spread them and fly. All right. The same concept is necessary for us to be able to soar. Yes. So you've been through the struggle. All right. You've been through the struggle and you fought through the struggle enough to give yourself the stamina you need to fly now. Pal number 3. All right. You, like to say, you've been pulling yourself out. All right. Consider pulling yourself out of that dark place as a struggle. All right. And you've been doing it for so long, which means now that blood should be pumping and you should have enough stamina to take flight. All right. And to do what it is that you want to do. All right. With no shame and no guilt behind it. All right. No shame, no guilt behind it. Just doing whatever it is that Cadence wants to do. Right. And I'm getting also with no strings attached. Right. No strings attached. Just living life. All right. So now let's take a look at what tarot messages wants to come out for you all. So thank you, beautiful, beloved Mother Goddess Isis. Can you please provide pile number 3 with clarification messages from the tarot in regards to healing their inner child? All right. And you guys have the Hermit. Yes. And you know, the hermit goes within. Right. And I feel like this showing up is that you guys have been within for a long time. Right. You guys have been isolated for a long time. All right. And which makes sense where it says you felt vulnerable and alone. And even the area that he's in is in this dark space, right? But look, there's a little light there, which means there's a little hope. So you guys are more than capable now of pulling yourself out of that isolation mode. All right, pulling yourself out of the isolation mode, and it's going to start with healing your inner child. All right, healing your inner child and allowing your inner child to do what it was not able to. Temperance, another card of balance. You guys have the scales of balance here, and you also have temperance. Right, and this is just being in synchronistic flow with life. Right, living life from a more lighter, calmer space. Pile number 3. All right, being in a synchronistic flow. All right, and like I was saying, like it's just letting your now allowing that space for your inner child to grow. Okay, whereas it wasn't able to grow back then, allowing it to grow now, giving it justice. Yes, look at this. And more scales, guys. Look at this. Giving your inner child justice, giving it the balance that it deserves, right? Making up for lost time. All right. And just really acknowledging those wounds, what wounded you as a child, you know, not having that freedom, not having that privilege, and giving it all to yourself now. Pile number 3. All right, it's going to be up to you to do that for you, for yourself. All right. And then look at this, the 9 of Pentacles, right when I was saying for yourself. And this is exactly what the 9 of Pentacles represents, doing for self. Bringing just being able to provide in such an abundant type of way, right? Being able to just, I love it. I love it, love it, love it. It's showing up in because the 9 of Pentacles is just so self-sufficient. She's well taken care of. She has more than enough. And the key thing about the 9 of Pentacles is that she does it on her own, right? She does it on her own. She brings herself out of that dark place into the light. All right. And you guys, look at this. We start off with the Hermit in the dark place and end with the 9 of Pentacles where there's an abundance of light coming through. Right? It almost looks like it shapes a heart. Guys, look at this. If I hold these two together like this, it's almost like a heart. Maybe a little bit. But yes, just get into that place of um, reconciliation for the inner child, right? Just letting, and this is going to be important for you, pile number 3, for you to let loose and give yourself that freedom that your inner child never had. It's all going to be up to you. All right. And so lastly, I have an angelic activation message for you. And this is going to be to help you to resonate and pull messages through from this reading, and also to give you light activation for yourself. All right, so that you are recognizing signs, synchronicity, symbols throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout any time when you know that spirit is trying to communicate to you. All right, and so this is the image that you all have. Okay, and the message is, this is Ariel with Embrace Your Sacred Calling. And it says, God is recruiting you. All that you have faced and healed in your life is part of your mission and directly aligned to how you can live a life that is filled with purpose. Lean into your personal story and your own testimony of healing, for sharing this deeper part of your life will allow you to realize your gifts. All right. And the activation is: thank you, Ariel, for guiding my sacred mission to heal and be healed. Yes. So this has, whatever the situation is for you all, has not only been, there for you to heal from it, but to help, for you to help others to heal from, those who went through similar situations, right? Those who went through similar situations, helping them to realize that there is an inner child in all of us who wants to come out and play, and we have the right and authority to allow them to do so. Okay, without guilt, without fear, and without being judged, or without the fear of being judged. All right. So this is all that I have for you, pal number 3. Really hope you enjoyed. If so, please be sure to hit the like button, leave a comment, as well as to subscribe to the channel. And until next time, my lovelies, take care and bye bye.